Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of YouTube. This is Pastor Dow. I come on here just for a moment because, I really do feel like it's laid upon me, and it's my job to tell you the truth, because truth is being suppressed in an unprecedented level in this society and time we're living in. We don't have a free press. We have a corporation government-controlled press. And so we don't even have a system that is of the people, for the people, and by the people. And the only way the truth is going to get to you as the people, you first, number one, have got to have the spirit of truth resonating and residing within your heart yourself. And you have got to come out of the mind control and the mind numbing that has been done to us. Knowledge is your only defense against mind control. It is your only defense against mind control. I sit up here and I think about this MF Global thing and how many people have lost so much money. And of course, rightfully so. You have to understand that the majority of the people that are rich in this country, they have been conditioned to trust in somebody else with their money in order to make capital gains. And it's not that a lot of them are educated themselves. Some of them are. Some of them do exercise self-autonomy. Some of them do understand how this thing actually works. Like Eric Sprott, Max Kaiser, and Bob Chapman. They understand very well how this thing works. But you have to understand that a lot of these rich people who are supporting this system, they're not about to let this thing go. You see, the rich have had money handed down to them throughout the generations. And this is a system of corruption. And they have trusted in this system of corruption in order to enrich themselves. Let me give you an example. A person has aspirations of wanting to become a politician. It ain't too long before they get up there. They're already corrupted anyway. It's not too long before they get up there, and then that money and that power begins to corrupt them. And that's the reason why you see everybody who is up there in whether it be in the House, a representative, or the Senate, anybody who is a lawmaker and control policy in the country, you see that they may go up there, a common everyday folk, but every last one of them come out rich. And there's a reason. Because we don't have representation. We don't have any representation whatsoever at all in the corporation of the United States. America is a total different country. It's a concept. It's a thought in the heart of every individual person who understand what liberty and freedom is all about. And so when we're sitting up here in these court systems, expecting that we can get justice from it because we think like Americans, and the court system and the judges think like corporate cronies, that's the reason why you feel victimized and raped. You can go up in a court and you can sit up there and have a case, a legitimate case, but then the judge is bought and paid for because they're in the back pocket of the corporation or whoever it may be. And by the time the jury is able to get up there and hear the information that's presented to them, the case has already been gutted. And of course, the lawyers are trained by the same system, and they have an automatic gag order put up on them. And so the jury never ever gets the real truth or the whole truth. And they never understand what's really truly going on. But, the rich in this country has enriched themselves by this phony system called capitalism. And they're going to clutch it like a wino does its bottle. And they're going to clutch it like a wino does its bottle to its last drop. Because that's what they've enriched themselves with. That's what they have trusted in. And they don't know how to think any other way. Can you imagine that there used to be a time up until the early 70s throughout the history of man? Now, let's just say history is just about 6,000 years old. But over the last 40 years, the American population and the world has been totally corrupt and deceived into believing that this thing right here, that at one time in this country used to be backed up by tangible intrinsic assets, gold, silver. It used to be. But some way, somehow, through mind control and mind numbing, because we've become a very docile and demoralized and dormant society, we love being fed. And it's too painful for us to do our own independent research and our own study And we would rather believe lies, something that's going to make life easier. That's why there's no fight or no pushback in us whatsoever at all. But can you believe that up until 40 years ago, since the existence and the inception of mankind, that gold and silver has always been money, and now we have this controlled government news media having all their cronies, especially these prostitutes that are up there, and they trying their best to continue to keep convincing you that the reason why this dollar is good is because it's backed by the American government. Now, I'm an American, and I'm a veteran of 10 years. So I think I have the right of an opinion of this country. I really, truly do. And I'm going to exert that right to express my opinion. And I hope that you have the ears to be able to hear what I'm saying. You see, a poor man's wisdom is always despised. I can't, you don't hear me talk about you need to go out and buy gold, you need to buy gold. You need to do that if you have the capital to be able to do it. But since I don't have the capital to be able to do it, I have to go with the next level, which is silver. And then from there, maybe copper. And I have some copper. But it is utterly amazing how that up until 40 years ago, that all of mankind believed that gold and silver was money and nothing else. But now we say that this dollar, because it's the world's reserve currency, and we have already lost our AAA plus rating, we think that this is good based on the government or the word of the United States of America. Now, what is that government backed by? Well, it's backed by guns, because freedom and control comes at the end of a barrel, whether you like it or not. You just look at how we exert our power throughout all these sovereign countries in the world, how we trump up charges against so-called dictators. Let me ask you a question. Who is going to save us, the American people, from the terrorists that are sitting in the outhouse, most of you people call the White House? Who's going to save us? Who's going to represent us, the voice of the 360 million people that's being controlled by 545 elected, so-called elected officials? We understand that they've been selected by a chosen group, and they represent their interests and not ours. I understand it very well. So I'm wide awake. But it is utterly appalling to me that the dismal ignorance that we just continue to keep trusting in. If you look at the history of this country and you tell me that if this is backed up by the word or the government of the United States, you tell me how good this is then. I think it's about as good as our word throughout history. We have the nerve to try to go over and condemn China because of Tiananmen Square. And look what we're doing even right now with the protesters that occupy Wall Street. Look how we're treating our citizens. And we're using the so-called laws on the book to do it. We got to get, you have to understand, we're in a time of oligarchies and monarchies. They have never stopped. And let me tell you something else. As I begin to continue to keep watching this thing, it seems to me, and I just had a discussion with a close friend of mine yesterday, and it seems to me that the same Nazi system that is going on in Germany, it seems like we're following the same blueprint in this country today. You see, I have a spirit in me and a resolve in me that when I'm being pushed against, to push back even harder. Now, if you want to free yourself from the system, which does nothing but put you in debt, which is nothing but another form of slavery. And I often said it once. I've said it once, I said it 1,000 times, that a slave that loves its chains has no reason whatsoever at all to be free. You want to free yourself, then you're going to have to get back to what you call a sound money system. That's all there is to it. And you can't trust in others to store wealth for you. But see, I learned that a long time ago that some of the greatest critics of myself and some of the other people out here who continually try to do their due diligence and do their part in helping wake the people up are some of those people who are the most laziest people in the world, who continue to keep going to the store, buying genetically modified foods, which they're missing a bunch of nutritional value from. And these GMO foods doesn't have any vitamins and minerals in it, so therefore it is definitely affecting the thought process. And we are not just thinking right in this country. You see, it's easy to control a sick population. It's easy to control a drug-induced population, whether it be legal or illegal drugs. As long as you've got drugs in your body, there is no way you can function right. You can't even think right. You are a slave. Do you understand that? The only time you're not a slave is when you're free. And the only way you can be free is you've got to know the truth. And a lot of things that we're trying to sell to others, as well as trying to convince our own self in order to trust in this phony system, we're going to find ourselves on the short end of the stick. I'm trying to tell you, it's going to be bad off. So therefore, I teach people to make preparation. And we're going to find out here in the next few years who was wise and who was a fool. Because one thing about a poor wise man, if the people can hear the wisdom and the knowledge that comes from a poor wise man, that wise man is able to deliver a city by his wisdom. You continue to keep listening to fools, you're going to perish like a fool. And that's all that there is to it. The MF Global scandal, the Ponzi scheme that is going on, let me tell you what's getting ready to take place even more. We know that GLD and SLD is sold 16 years into the future, 100 times the amount of the contracts that they actually have on the books. And we understand that this is just some fictitious thought. It's really not backed up by metals, precious metals anyway, gold or silver. And so you people, you continue to keep playing this game, you're going to lose more of what you call wealth because you're trusting in a fiat, counterfeit, phony system. And it's not going to work. So look for more companies to fail, especially investment firms. If you're in cash, which is trash, you deserve exactly what you get. And I don't feel sorry for you whatsoever at all. I really, truly don't. You should know better. If you're that intelligent, and if you have that much understanding, you should know better. You should know better. You should know better than to have your money in the bank. You should know better. Be your own bank and guard it by Smith & Wesson. Guard it by XD40. Guard it. And then train yourself in how to guard it against all enemies, foreign and domestic. You know, it's amazing that the so-called communist countries, China's supposed to be a communist country, right? And yet we're supposed to be a republic, who they continue to keep trying to cram a democracy down our throats and our minds right here. But we are supposed to be a constitutional republic. That's American thought. But the United States, which is a communist country, you know what they're doing, right? They're calling the communist country, and they're trying to tell us how wicked they are when it comes to human rights. But then we go and borrow trillions of dollars from this country. I'm going to tell you right now, China, you ain't getting your money back. Because we got the biggest guns, and as you've got any eyes to see, we're slapping up all the resources in the world. So now, World War III is inevitable. It's definitely inevitable because Russia and China and Iran and all these people that are together, they're not going to continue to let these European countries, along with America, make a run and run amok on the people of the world. I mean, we're sitting here with our boots on the ground right here in America. Oh, and believe me, when I say boots on the ground, there's my boots, and they are on the ground. We're sitting right here in America, and there are a few of us that can understand, that's trying our best to wake up the many people. I'm trying to teach you independent living, independent thought, how to function on your property when this thing collapses so that you can be free. Because you better start investing in a lot of bullets whether you like it or not. Is it right for an Israelite to carry a sword? Is it right? I personally believe it according to the scriptures. I do. I really, truly do. I hope that some way, somehow, that you can wake up, because the more you people that's in this paper, Because every time you get Hugo Chavez calling his gold, when you see China and India, these people are in the green. Are you following me? These people, they have wealth. They're telling their citizens, buy gold, buy silver, buy all that you can. The central banks of the world, they are no longer giving out gold and silver anymore. They're hoarding and storing what they can. And pretty soon, all these places that we buy gold and silver from, the well is going to be dried up. And like I said, for over 6,000 years, gold and silver has been money, and only the last 30 or 40 years, we've been trusted. We have been deceived into trusting in something that's only backed up by the word of the United States. You ask yourself, how good is that word? How good is the country? You can tell who's a sellout, whether it be political, religious, social, or economic. You can tell who's a sellout because the sellouts are fearful, they're unbelievers, and they don't have truth that resonates from their heart. And they definitely don't live anything that they preach to others themselves. They are hypocrites. Well, Nixon took us off the gold standard in the 70s. And ever since then, the people have been deceived into believing that paper, fiat currency, this cash, which is trash, that we believe that that's money. No, it's a medium of exchange for right now, but it's not always going to be. That's why you need to position yourself right now. That's why I can tell you that dollar is not going to be the world reserve currency, and we're going to see that in my lifetime. As a matter of fact, the way things are going, if we look at it from a secular viewpoint, it's probably a good idea to teach your children how to speak Mandarin. Probably a little late for me. I'll be really old and stuff by the time the system is really entrenched, but it'd probably be good for you to teach your children to learn how to speak Mandarin and get ready for the next leader of the world. Well, I understand that we don't like it. I think the first thing that you have to accept into your heart and mind is this. You cannot continue to be deceived by this fictitious make-believe lifestyle that is constantly being promoted on the TV. To hell with fame and fortune. Let's get off of cloud nine. Let's get on back to reality. It's time for us to live. Love is the greatest healer that there is. It's the greatest healer that there is. I really truly do that. I mean, I really do hope that I'm able to reach a lot of people. And if I'm not able to reach a lot of people, then I've done my part. I've done what I can to try to help reach a lot of people. Let me give you some sound advice again. Number one, turn off the TV. Because as long as you have that corruption keep coming into your mind is going to be affected like a cancer. And you're not going to know how to process thought. You're not going to know how to actually think properly as long as you're feeding yourself a cancerous ideal. Number two, get independent of the system. Anytime you have an opportunity, to trade this for this, real assets, do it. Because all fiat currencies fail, has a 40-year track record, and whether we like it or not, it's going to reset. And again, historical proof and reference for over almost 6,000 years. When fiat currencies fail, we always end up going back to tangible assets. It's always backed up by something that is precious. Get into sound money because it's going to determine how you're going to function in the world to come. And last, but definitely not least, get out of the churches. Come out of all Christian churches. And then you take your steps very, very carefully. And you listen to those. And listen very carefully. Now, you can't listen to people based upon your preconceived ideas, your notions, and the knowledge that you think that you have. Because the majority of us, we're functioning after the very system that has trained us. So therefore, thinking is a very difficult thing to do. Independent thinking is a learned behavior. It really truly is. And so you have to pray for the spirit of truth, that he would enrich you to his truth, the Holy Spirit. And then he will lead you to those who are telling you the truth. You're not going to like it at first. No, you're not. But afterwards, it yields the peaceable fruits of righteousness. Sure. I mean, truth is a hard pill to swallow. I'll be the first to tell you that. And I mean every word I say, it really truly is. But I think I've made enough mistakes in my life that if I don't learn from those mistakes, then as a foolish man, I deserve exactly what I get. So no, I've changed my mind about a lot of things. I continue to keep growing. In a lot of things, I continue to keep on growing, keep on growing, keep on growing, keep on growing. The moral degradation, the spiritual bankruptcy, the moral decay and the decline. Can't you see it happening right before our very eyes? Can you not see it? Can you not see that we have a very unlawful system? I mean, these people make the laws and then they themselves don't even keep it. All our politicians who's supposed to be the lawmakers, they're all sold out. They sold out because they've enriched themselves. They only thought about themselves. If you're going to play the paper game, and I understand that means you rich people won't even give me the time of the day. I understand that, believe me. There are a few of you that do listen. The best thing you can do is give to a godly man. And that's just the truth. And I'm going to leave it at that. But if you're going to play the paper game, the future is clearly telling you what to invest in. Commodities and metals, not paper, not GLD and SLV. Get you some real things, store it yourself. And that's just the truth. I hope I've been able to say something to make you think. But you really, truly do. You really, really, truly do. Because, see, human beings are inherently a spiritual. We have a spiritual makeup. We are spiritual beings. And even in the spiritual, we're either going to serve that which is right, which I believe is the Most High Yahweh, or either we're going to serve that which is wrong, which is the Satan, that we have been learned to say in our language, Satan. Do you think people are automatically going to voluntarily come out and tell you that they're a servant of Satan? No, they ain't going to do that. It wouldn't be deception then, would it? Well, that's what the news media, that's what the government of America is all about, or the United States. Let me make sure I use those terms right. The government of the United States is all about. They serve Satan. And the powers that be are in cahoots with each other. People, when you come out, you start storing your food, buying your food. Do that. Look at your children and say to yourself, and just say it. Man, if I really truly love for them and care for them, I better start making some changes right now, because what I'm doing ain't working. Because you think you're going to continue to keep doing the things you've always done? You think you're going to continue to keep staying in astronomical, extraordinary debt, and you think you're going to change your mind? No, you ain't. You're going to justify your way. You cannot preach the truth when you're in bondage. That's all there is to it. You have to be free to preach the truth. And that's the truth, and that's the truth straight way.